Namo Amitabha Buddha. Hello everyone. So today I feel like talking about the 8 precepts, which is an enhanced version of the 5 precepts that we talked about previously. So when we mention the word precepts, some people may be scared or even terrified. Why do we need to observe the precepts? Why can't we just do whatever we want? Why can't we just be free? So I'm all for freedom. If anything, I want to have the ultimate freedom, the complete freedom. But in order to obtain complete freedom, we actually need to apply some self-discipline. It's a bit like when we are driving. If we want to be safe, we need to actually follow the traffic rules. So true freedom actually comes out of discipline. Without discipline, there is actually no true freedom. We are actually not free. We are the slaves of our monkey mind. We are the slaves of our attachment, our desire, our greed, our anger, and ignorance. So how can we actually be free from all these developmental states? We actually need to apply some discipline to regulate our mind, our speech, our conduct. And when we observe the precepts, it helps us to have discipline on ourselves. So the 3 learnings in Buddhism: precepts, meditation, and wisdom. So it's only when we observe the precepts, this can help us to enter into a meditative state much more easily. And when we practice more meditation, then it can then give rise to wisdom or prajna, to realize the emptiness of all phenomena. So precepts are actually important regardless of what branch of Buddhism you might be practicing. So sometimes we hear some people may say, oh, for Pure Land practitioners, one doesn't need to observe the precepts and know that one can still seek rebirth. So this is not wrong, this is actually right. If we look at the low grade of rebirth, there's actually no mention of precepts. But it's actually also important for Pure Land practitioners to observe the precepts if one wants to attain a higher grade of rebirth. So there are 9 grades of rebirth, which we currently are talking about in our weekly Dharma talks. If you want to learn more about it, you can also come and join us every week. So what are the 8 precepts? The 8 precepts include the 5 precepts. So first, non-killing. If we don't want to be harmed or killed by others, then we should refrain from killing or harming others, and this also includes animals. And the second is to refrain from stealing. This also includes to take things from others without their permission. So if we don't want to have our things stolen by others, then it's also best we refrain from stealing. And third is no sexual activity. So in the 5 precepts, it's actually sexual misconduct, whereas here it's sexual activity. So one shall be abstained from all sexual activity. And then some people may think, oh, this is so difficult. So the validity of 8 precepts is only for 1 day and 1 night. So for 24 hours, I trust it's not so difficult. And if you are in a relationship or you are in a marriage, it's best that while you are observing the precepts, you sleep separately from your partner. And the 4th is to refrain from lying. If we don't want others to lie to us, it's also important that we speak the words of honesty. So this can also include, if we interpret more broadly, no gossiping, no harsh speech, no frivolous speech, like we talk about in the 10 good deeds. And the next is to refrain from taking alcohol or any intoxicants or just any drug that may cloud the mind. And the precept also includes no smoking, although it doesn't say, but it also includes non-smoking. And the 6th precept is not to eat at the wrong time. So the wrong time here referring to the time after midday. So it's actually when the sun arises at the highest, and then after that one shall not eat. So one can still drink some water or clear liquids. One can drink fruit juice without pulp and not to take any snacks. And the 7th is to refrain from wearing jewelry or perfumes or cosmetics or just any kind of personal adornments that can give rise to our attachment to materials and also attachment to our appearance. So the purpose of observing the 8 precepts is really try to help us to let go of our attachment. And also no singing, no dancing, no music. So here really referring to those conventional types of songs or music or dance that can elicit any emotional attachment. So for Nianfo practitioners, it's totally fine if you are chanting Amitabha chant, and one can still practice Nianfo. One shall practice Nianfo when one observes the 8 precepts. And the last one is not to sit or sleep on luxury seats or beds, so beds that are really tall, really big. So by observing the 8 precepts, it's really a chance for us to live a life of purity, to cleanse our mind, our thoughts, our speech, our conduct. It will really help us with our cultivation. It will help us to let go of our attachment and to help us realize that true happiness actually does not depend so much on what we have. True happiness actually comes from the inside. When our mind becomes much more still, much more quiet and peaceful, this is where we can attain much longer lasting happiness. So the 8 precepts are really designed by the Buddha out of compassion for lay Buddhists who also want to experience a day like the monastic life, like a lot of monks and nuns. So some people, when they look at the 8 precepts, they may be like, oh, this is too hard. So at the beginning, it can be a little bit challenging if we have a lot of bad habits, a lot of attachment to materials, to food. So it could be a little bit difficult for some people. But really, once you are at the point that you can overcome this and you can really observe the 8 precepts properly, I guarantee you, you will feel so good afterwards. So what you will experience is a sharpen in your awareness, in your consciousness. You can be much more focused, more concentrated in whatever you do. And you will also notice definitely a decrease in defilemental states. So by observing the 8 precepts, it can really help you to purify your mind, to purify your thoughts, which will also help you to purify your body. I guarantee you, you will feel so good afterwards. And I'm really talking about from my honest personal experience, and that's why I'm still currently on the 8 precepts. So it's the second day I've been taking the 8 precepts in this month. So in Chinese Mahayana Buddhism, for some lay Buddhists, they observe the precepts under the 6 observation days. And the days I'm talking about are in accordance to the Chinese lunar calendar, which means that they will be on different days for each month for the Gregorian calendar. So for each month, I will also try to post dates for people who are keen to observe the 8 precepts. So you don't need to take the 8 precepts every day. You can if you want. Actually, the more the merrier. You can also choose to take it any other day outside of the 6 observation days. In the sutras, the Buddha also told us that by observing the 8 precepts, it will actually generate infinite merit. So for instance, just by observing the 8 precepts, it can prevent us from falling into the 3 evil realms. And the Buddha also told us that by observing the 8 precepts, and if one doesn't commit the 5 great offenses, which means the worst deeds such as killing one's parents, make a Buddha bleed, killing an arhat, and also split a harmonious sangha. So if you don't commit any of this and plus you observe the 8 precepts, this can actually help us to eliminate all our bad karma. So this is incredible. And why is that? Because when we observe the 8 precepts, it really helps us to get rid of a lot of our attachment to the illusional world. So by letting go of our attachment, we can be free from our karma. And for Pure Land practitioners, if we observe the 8 precepts just for one day and one night, you can obtain at least the middle level of the middle grade of rebirth. Now, if you observe the 8 precepts regularly, you can obtain at least the highest level of the middle grade of rebirth. Now, if you observe the precepts quite well and also you generate the unsurpassed bodhicitta, then it's most likely that you are in the highest grade of rebirth. So if you're interested in learning more about the 9th grade of rebirth, you can also come to our weekly Dharma talks, which currently we are looking at the 9th grade of rebirth. So the Zoom link is in the description box. So when we observe the 8 precepts, usually for the first time, it's required to go to the temple to observe that under the guidance of a monk. And once you have done that, then you can start to take the 8 precepts at home. But for a lot of people, this may not be possible. If you don't live near a temple, and also due to the COVID situation, you can't go out, then you can also take the precepts at home. And if you want to know the exact procedure, I have actually prepared a document in our Facebook group, Pure Land Buddhism Lotus Family. So you can take a look at that if you're interested in observing the 8 precepts at home. And the link to the Facebook group is also in the description box. I really encourage people to give it a go before you judge or you think this may be too difficult. And you may be surprised how many benefits you will obtain by simply observing the 8 precepts for one day and one night.